You might wonder what homesteaders like us do in the off-season. We have no animals to take care of outside, and obviously our garden is dead. It seems like this would be a great time to just sit back and relax, get in all that reading that we didn't have time for in the summer, and take an afternoon nap. While that may be the case sometimes, most days that's not even near reality. On our homestead, winter is a time for planning and learning and doing all the indoor projects that we ignore all summer. Let me show you a few of the things I'm working on this winter. Can you guess what these are? What I'm doing a really poor job of with this one here? These are Sourdough Starter. I tried one with some oat flour and some with some white flour. And I think I killed them both. So I'm probably starting over with these. But this is one of my winter projects, is to get a sourdough starter going and then figure out how to use it. Another one of my projects is vanilla extract. You can see maybe that this side is darker and this side is lighter. This one is in Jim Beam bourbon. This one is in Tito's vodka. And we give them a shake every day or every couple of days to mix it all up. And little by little it gets darker. These will take about a year to a year and a half to be usable in baking. And from what I've read, they actually smell mostly like alcohol for quite a while before then. Another thing you can do is just work through what's in your freezer stash. Let's take a look at our freezer, how low it's getting, and what we still have left. So here's our freezer stash. We have some of the store-bought stuff yet because we just can't make everything ourselves yet. Got some nice bagels here. Some store-bought veggies like broccoli, things that we didn't grow in our garden. Some food that we made up for easy meals for the kids. These are just fritters made out of grits, which we're calling gritters. Taco beef, just a bunch of easy stuff, bunch of basic stuff from the store. Mixed in with that though, we have Swiss chard made with some onions. I don't know if the onions were from our garden, but the Swiss chard definitely was, because that stuff is really expensive in the store if you can even find it. We have sauteed zucchini. This one, I wasn't really sure about when I first tried it. It's rutabaga beans and bacon. And Jeff also made some turnip greens that were fried up in bacon grease. And they were all really smoky flavored. I didn't like the smoky flavor until I put it in with salsa or chili. Then it's really good. It adds a nice smoky flavor to all of it, and it's fairly natural smoke flavor if you use the right kind of bacon. Something else we're working on that's in the freezer is baking bread. Jeff likes to make rolls so that we can pull just a single roll or maybe 2 rolls out for a meal. Lately, we've really taken up using our bread machine again. So quite often, instead of using the rolls, Jeff will put on a loaf of bread in the bread machine in the morning, and we eat that throughout the day. One loaf might last us one day. That is, assuming the kids consent to eat it. Which, that's always iffy. You never know what the kids are going to eat or how much. Now these bananas sitting on the counter here, these are destined to become banana bread. I'd say every week we eat 1 to 2 recipes of quick bread, whether it's zucchini bread using shredded zucchini from our garden, or banana bread using the bananas that are left over from the kids deciding not to eat them this week, or from the grocery pickup people putting the bananas on the bottom of my order. We always have leftover bananas sitting around, and banana bread is one of our favorites. I've also found that quick breads are one of the best post-morning workout meals. I grab myself a giant muffin and make up either a yogurt shake or a few eggs. It's a perfect balance of carbohydrates and protein to get me through the rest of my morning. I don't worry too much about the fat content of a post-workout meal. One of the biggest projects I'm working on this winter is the layout and planting schedule for our vegetable garden. It's going to be much bigger this year than last year. And I don't think it's only because I'm putting more space between the plants. I might have ordered 3 varieties of corn in addition to the one we already have. along with about half a dozen types of squash. Oh well, it'll be fun. Last year, I planned it using graph paper and a pen. This year, I figured out that I can use my page layout program, I'll link it below, to make boxes that are scaled to the dimensions that I need for each plant. So I made a spreadsheet that has all of the varieties we're planting, wrote down how many hills or how many plants of each variety we want, then noted the plant spacing and the row spacing, and calculated the box size that I need for each of these varieties. Then in the program, I made all the boxes, stuck labels on them, and once the boxes are made, all I have to do is drag them around to rearrange the entire garden. Then I made some spacers to make sure that I have 3-foot rows in between all of my plants to avoid that overcrowding problem we had last year. So far, I really like this method of arranging our garden. As an extra bonus, instead of taking out my drawing that used just a regular ballpoint pen, I'll be taking out a printout from a laser printer, which means if it gets wet, I don't lose the image. In addition to planning our gardens, I'm working on a design for a barn, a chicken coop, and an animal shelter for some larger livestock like sheep or goats or a cow or whatever we end up getting. That one's not quite on the computer yet. It's just sketches that approximate what we think we might want to do with it. At some point, once this snow starts melting, I'm going to have to get outside and start measuring the exact location for these things. I hope it all fits when I get out there. I'm doing my best to read up on things like preservation of food, mulching, barn and coop design, animal care, seed starting and saving, and a whole bunch of other stuff like that. I didn't have a garden that I took care of growing up. I have a history of killing plants just because some of the other plants died, so I stopped watering everything. Since I need to know all of this stuff and use it during the summer and fall, now is the time to learn it in the off-season. I've got a whole stack of books I'm going through since I've come into this pretty much knowing nothing about gardening or livestock care. We're also testing out new equipment for processing and preserving food. We've tried dehydrating several things that we didn't grow in our garden last year that we will be growing in our garden this year. We're trying out a new vegetable peeler that should make peeling vegetables much faster. And at some point we'll probably get some store produce to try canning. Sort of unrelated to our homestead, I'm working on preparing homeschool materials so that they're ready to use throughout the busy season. That way, this summer and fall, I don't have to choose between being prepared for homeschool for our kids and processing the produce and any animals we might have on our homestead by then. It seems to have become a popular thing with this pandemic to declutter houses, and we are no exception. I am going through the house pretty haphazardly at this point, trying to find anything that we just don't need anymore. The last thing we need when we have all of these vegetables coming into process is extra stuff in our house. As you can see, the idea of a farmer sitting in a chair by the fireside through those long winter nights, or in my case, thrift store find that my dad put hospital wheels on, is completely inaccurate. Even in the off-season, there is more than enough to do on a homestead, animals or no animals. Those are a bunch of the activities I'm working on this winter. If you want to check out what we're growing in our vegetable garden and a couple of our other gardens this year, take a look at the seed haul right here. Then let me know in the comments below what you're doing with your winter to help prepare for the busy season on your homestead. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you next time.